taking over.
Let's go.
It's Ferrall.
Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money.
It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's pain-free Friday. Ferrall's doling out minutes on the mahogany, waxing it up. 100, 200, a bad seed, a broken in a bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fucking shake-it-up, along with the Tutty and Tater King himself, the founder of the Aisle Seat podcast, the rights holder of the Sheet of Integrity, and the Put It With the Golf guru, Carver High this afternoon, ladies. Mafia is running it with Luke. I am your father. The rundown for today, we got a double shot with Morency coming up this very hour. And within the walls of the hour, our boy Donnie Right Side Styling talking about the NFL and whatever else we want to with him. And then in the second hour, our buddy Kurt Heelan from the NBC Sports family, and he covers the NBA. We'll do all of that today. The trade deadline, Carver High in the NHL, has passed at 3 o'clock. They still let deals come through the door for the next hour, basically, because they talk about like a potential backlog of them, and they have to do the paper filings and such, if you believe any of that. But here's what I know. Most of the deals were, I think, pathetic. None of them, tipped the scales. There were a couple of big names that went, obviously. Charlie Coyle went to the Avs from the Bruins, and Marchand did not get traded. Mikko Rantanen did go to Dallas from Carolina, and he signed an 8-year deal at $12 million a year. That's an enormous deal. You know, the Lawton to the Leafs from Philly, the Brandon Tanev from Seattle to Ferrellapeg. You know, they got Luke Shen as well, the defenseman, the Jets from the Penguins. Everything else, Bavillier from the Penguins to the Capitals. I watched this. The big one was last night, Brock Nelson going to the Avalanche. If you ask me, the Avalanche and the Stars were the big winners. And then I watched these guys on this TSN. They're doing a great job covering the trades and the league and the NHL, no doubt about it, from Canada. But listening to him trying to trade Sidney Crosby was pathetic. Honestly, just stop already, Fatso. He's not going anywhere. He never was. Listening to this guy stand there in his tennis shoes trying to wheel Crosby around the league was laughable. But other than that, I thought they did a good job with it. They had it on the Deuce, which I couldn't believe to begin with. I was like, what is happening here? This Canadian hockey show's on ESPN2. I guess they allegedly care about hockey now at ESPN because they have their big hockey deal. But I can't even believe that, come to think of it, because they're getting rid of baseball. I never thought I'd see the day they'd get rid of baseball and keep hockey, Mike.
Yeah, I never thought I would see that day either. Happy Friday to you here on Coast to Coast. And yes, the NHL trade deadline has passed here at 3 o'clock. Now, of course, as we know, we'll wait a few minutes. Some people are saying that there are possibly some trades that are in the hopper at the league office that have not been announced yet. But these guys are pretty quick to it. I agree with you from this aspect. There's really only, for me, 2 moves in the last, let's just say, 12 to 15 hours that are going to move the needle for you here. And that's obviously the Rantanen deal, which, by the way, Carolina did a bad job here. They gave away a couple of good pieces in Nashus, going over to Colorado to get him, to not be able to get him to buy in over the next couple of weeks. He only played 13 games for them, and then to have to go and flip him. Now, Stankoven's a good young player, a 22-year-old player, played for the Stars in the playoffs last year, scored a couple big goals. They got some first-round picks, but they are not on the same level right now, in my opinion, as Florida or even Tampa, who made some moves a couple days ago with Gordon, with Borkstan, etc. So I think Carolina takes a big hit here. Dallas obviously through the roof by getting him, and that's got to burn Colorado, because Colorado didn't want to be dealing with Mikko Rantanen in the playoffs, sending him off to Carolina, and now they probably going to see him in Dallas in the playoffs, so that's going to burn them. But
too. They don't want any part of him, and they're obviously the second place team. They have the second best record in the NHL, so they're dangerous, and they just got better with him, no doubt. But I still think Colorado's moves were huge, and I think they actually, in my view, did better than Dallas.
Massive deal that has crossed the line here just past 3 o'clock that came through. And that is Brad Marchand leaves Boston and joins the Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champion. That's Florida enormous. Panthers. Think about that. We know what Marchand, he's a total pain in the ass, but you would love to have him on your team. Think about a healthy Matthew Tkachuk and Brad Marchand on the Florida Panthers in the playoffs, and what kind of problems that's going to cause for teams. That's a big move for Florida to get Marchand out of Boston.
He's injured right now. He's back in Boston. He's injured, but it's no big deal. I think that the fans are going to be livid in Boston that they traded him. And then, he didn't want to be traded at all. And I guarantee you the fan base is going to be on fire over this at the rink and on the airwaves, on the radio in Boston. They're gonna kill. They traded Coyle and Marchand, and you give Marchand to the Florida Panthers, who won the Stanley Cup, and you give up the heart and soul, the face of your franchise. Everyone's favorite son in Boston is Brad Marchand, and he's gone. That is unbelievable. Now that is stunning. So I'm not stunned by the Rantanen deal. I listened to the guy do an interview today. He wouldn't say it, but in Portuguese, what he was saying was, I wanted no part of signing a deal in Raleigh. I didn't want to live there. I didn't want to spend the next 8 years of my life in Carolina. He goes, I know they're close to a cup. That was nice of him to say, because they aren't. And he went to a team that is dangerous, that does have great goaltending, that does have star players. And now you add that piece to that lineup. They already have 84 points. They're already good. And then you add Marchand to Florida. I mean, that just puts them right back where they want to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And look, Colorado, getting Brock Nelson last night, who's played a lot of big playoff games, is a great centerman, wins tons of faceoffs. That's a huge move for them, for having a second-line center behind McKinnon now. So Colorado, Dallas, Florida, especially with this Marchand deal, they're the three, Scotty. You talk about loading up and getting ready for the playoffs. That's it. And I'll tell you, Lou got a good return for Brock Nelson last night. They got a young kid who's a really good offensive player. You look at what some of these guys went for around the league. First-round pick for Lawton. He should have traded Palmieri, Pajot, Anders Lee. He could have did a lot more and gave the
Penguins never traded Raquel. But I do think Carolina got 2 first-round picks and a good player. Randy, they didn't get rid of all.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 East to midnight on our TV and radio outlets with Gabe Morency. We get Morency every day on C2C for a double shot from Vancouver. The Rat goes to the Rats. They're going to be throwing rats for the Rat. Can you even believe the Marchand deal to the Florida Panthers? And they just got rid of Carlo to the Leafs, so the Leafs get a defenseman that they needed. And what do you think of these late flurry of deals here at the very end over the wire?
Well, you remember yesterday I brought up, keep your eye on Brad Marchand and the situation in Boston, and here we are right now. There was a lot of talk that Vegas were in the mix for him, and he ends up with the Florida Panthers, another team like Vegas that have Stanley Cup aspirations, right? Listen, he's not the player that he used to be, but as we saw in the Four Nations, he's a great, he's a great addition to a winning team already. He has a winning pedigree about him. He's a type of guy that, he's better than the Rat was. I like the comparison. But, he's better than Ken Linsman was as a player still. But he is that guy. So, yeah, you're right. It is fitting that he ends up with the Florida Panthers. And how about this Panther team, man? They're not playing around. Kachuk is hurt, and they're going to take advantage of that. And they're going to use the loopholes that the NHL allows with players that are injured, but just very aggressive, Scott. Not wanting to give up the Stanley Cup. Big get for them. Like I said, he's not the player that he was, but you add him to a winning team. And you look at the Rantanen deal now to Dallas, which is just my head is spinning as far as what's happened with him over the last month or so, or whatever, whenever he got dealt. It's been a pretty crazy day in the NHL today. And one thing, too, Scott, if you'll notice, and I've been talking about this for a couple of years, but 4 of the last 5 Stanley Cup winners come from tax-free states. And it's an issue in the National Hockey League. I follow this stuff closely, Scott, and a lot of players in the NHL, just point blank, Canada's a non-starter for a lot of players, even the Canadian dudes. They don't want to pay the taxes. And now you get into the American cities, and players are shutting down deals and they're funneling them to a certain amount of teams, Scott. Vegas, Dallas, Tampa, Florida. What do they all have in common, those teams?
Nashville.
Tax-free states.
Yeah.
Point blank, tax-free states. 4 of the last 5 Stanley Cup winners, guys, tax-free states. You heard Rantanen. Supposedly we're Rantanen. And I don't know, Scott, about Carolina. You and I talked about this. So now it's for real. Like, you brought in Jake Gensel, and he bolted. Like, right, he was like, no, I'm leaving. You bring in Rantanen. He's like, no, I'm not going to do a deal. I got, we'll wait till after the year. I can't promise you anything. And then he turns around, bro, and agrees to a deal with the Dallas Stars without even stepping foot in the city. Like, you know what I mean?
For 8 years.
12 mil. Tax-free, baby. Right? And it's crazy because that's originally what Colorado offered him, Scott. And he was like, no, I want more. He wanted 14 mil. And now he gets the tax-free.
Taxes in Colorado.
And there we go. And who are all the big contenders this year, Scott, to win the Cup? Tampa, Florida, Vegas, Dallas. Like, again, like, I'm dead serious here, guys. From a fundamental standpoint, it's a problem. All right? Like, for the NHL in balance right now. But I don't see what you can do about it. You can't start changing rules and say, well, we're going to raise the cap for this team because they pay more tax. And, like, it's just, it is what it is. But from a betting perspective, guys, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a tax-free state. Like, when you're betting Stanley Cup futures, just look at the tax-free state teams and go, all right, which one of these? And, like, that's what it comes down to right now. Just point blank, Scott. It is what it is. And one of the reasons, too, guys, and you think, okay, why is this so important in this league? Point blank, NHL players don't make anywhere near the amount of money that other leagues do. You think LeBron James cares about the tax of California? The guy's a billionaire, right? Like, what does he care? Right. Like, he's got good accountants and, like, you know what I mean? Like, Kevin Durant, whatever, a lot of these players, they don't care. Look at, if, like, the California tax is such a big problem, why does everybody want to play for the Dodgers? Otani's making $750 million. Mookie Betts, like, they light up. Please, let me play for the Dodgers. I don't care about your taxes. I want to play for the Dodgers. Because they make real money. They don't care. It's like, yeah, whatever, dude. I got an accountant, and it is what it is. NHL guys, think about it. Top-tier players are getting into this $12, $13 million a year range right now. Dude, like, white guys at the end of the bench, Scott, in the NBA that no one knows what their name is are making $18 million. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, you're an NHL player. Let's say hypothetically, like, a good contract. You're Austin Matthews, whatever. You're making $10 million a year. You play in Toronto for the Leafs, your $10 million is suddenly $6 million. You play for the Las Vegas Golden Knights, your $10 million is $10 million. How do you compete with that, Scott?
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know how they play the game, though, realistically, if, like, he's from Arizona, he lives in Arizona in the offseason, and if these accountants flip these paychecks to Arizona into an LLC in his home state, which is
Florida residents, Scott. A lot of baseball players do that.
Toronto at 53%.
A lot of baseball players do that. They're like, we're signing my contract in the state of Florida, and I'm going to buy a house in the state of Florida, so I don't even care about there.
That's what Kershaw does in Texas. He's from Dallas.
Boom. Exactly. You got this is the residence. We're going to sign a contract in this state, so I'm subject to this state's labor laws.
That's right.
Otani did the same thing. They deferred things. I understand Otani has a Florida address type of deal for things like this. There are loopholes. And quite frankly, I've seen NHL agents and other people talk about how primitive NHL teams are in approaching this, the Canadian team. A great example is there's all this talk about this. Doesn't affect the Toronto Blue Jays. I know Otani and Soto didn't sign with the Blue Jays, but whatever. Like, the Blue Jays don't have problems signing players. Like, Kevin Gausman was a free agent. He went there. George Springer, like, we'll go on and on. Free agent, we've talked about it. They go there. Santander just signed there, and they figured out a loophole, Scott. You know, the Canadian tax is like California. Like, so Ontario, it's like 48%, 45% or something like that, 43, whatever the hell it is, for rich people. But they caught on to a little loophole that Canada only taxes 15% of work bonus performance monies. So you make the contract all a work bonus, Scott. It's not hard. Like, hire a lawyer and figure it out.
We'll keep talking about it with Morency coming up.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
So we're talking to Morency. So despite the financials and the taxes, in terms of who did the best and who wins, the Avalanche, the Stars, the Panthers. Now, I heard some people say that the Jets didn't get better when they got Tanev and Shen. They just got tougher. Or was it the Leafs with Lawton and Carlo? I would not say Lawton, but Carlo is something that they needed. And then Pittsburgh gave up a lot. They didn't give up Crosby, obviously, or Raquel, at least, unless there's paperwork we haven't seen yet. At the end of the day, who wins? Colorado is loaded now, and Dallas with Rantanen. And then, like, Edmonton, to me, didn't do anything to stand out against those teams that they'd have to face to get to the Western Finals and back to the Stanley Cup Finals.
A lot of the Canadian teams were handcuffed. A lot of players have the no-trade clause list, and Canadian teams are on it. The good Canadian teams are already strapped for money. They didn't have a lot of room. Like, good job by the Leafs squeezing Carlo in, but they really didn't have a lot of room to do something huge. I think, Scott, listen, they're all winners. I mean, let's not dismiss the Tampa Bay Lightning. They just sort of added more grit and veteran experience and winning pedigree to the lineup. It's hard. Listen, Marchand's good, but let's not get crazy here. It's not a nice pickup. I mean, the Seth Jones move, I think, is a little bit better. So the Panthers are for real. But, Scott, let's talk about what the Avalanche have done here. They called Rantanen's bluff, right? So they offered Rantanen $12 million, reportedly. And he was like, more. He wanted to hit like the $14 million a year range. He never thought, though, that they were going to trade him. Like, it wasn't hostile. Like, they were going back and forth. Like, Nate McKinnon didn't even know he was going to get dealt. It wasn't planned. Basically, the Avalanche walked away from a meeting with the agents and were like, we don't like where this is going, and we're not going to give him a cent more than $12 million a year. And then they just traded him. Boom. And it shocked the world when they did. But look how Necas is playing for them right now, Scott. Then you turn around, you bring in Brock Nelson as well. Now you turn around, you bring in Charlie Coyle as well. you got 3 for 1 now, basically, right? You got some good players, and you add to an already good hockey team. I think the Avalanche.
They're loaded up the middle.
They are. And I think the Avalanche, you always have to ask yourself, are they a better team now than they were 2 days ago?
Yes.
And if you look at the Avalanche, you're like, yeah, damn, you're effing right they are. You just picked up Brock Nelson and Charlie Cole. You got multiple positions here. We got defensemen, we got forwards, we're adding guys. To me, the Avs are the winners of the trade deadline. And from the Rantanen deal and how they handle this and how they took the money instead of giving it to Rantanen and bringing in 3 different players, Scott, I think the Avs are the winners to me.
Yeah, I saw all I could think of was how they have all these great centers now. I mean, they got it 4 lines deep, completely loaded, and it has to be them. I would agree with you. It has to be them. I think more of Marchand's game, I guess, than Seth Jones. For me, I thought Jones is like getting out of prison going from Chicago to the Panthers. But to see Matt Tkachuk out for the rest of the year with the groin until the playoffs, we don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back. But
you imagine them together on the ice?
Tkachuk
and Marchand.
I mean, they're both hatchet men.
Yeah, I know. And they just went to war.
His brother
Brady,
Brady just lost his best friend on the team that he played his whole life with. Norris. They shipped him out, and Brady looks like he needs a shrink today.
I tell you what, down the road, I'd be concerned about that. If I was the Ottawa Senators, it's a conversation they don't want to have, but we'll see. I got to believe that Brady Tkachuk's not going to be an Ottawa Senator forever, Scott. It's just my feeling.
Yeah, me neither. Now that they dealt his best friend,
just
played with the guy his whole life. He was roommates with him.
He's Captain America, Scott. He's in Ontario. They're booing the U.S. national anthem. You trade his best friend. At some point, he's going to be like, maybe I got to go in the play. I want to go play for my brother. He might be on the
bottle right now. Who needs a shrink? Right. He might be hitting it. I mean, honestly. All right, what a wild day with the trade deadline. Any wild picks you got for me tonight in hoops or hockey or NBA? Anything stand out? You got 10 seconds.
I'm going to go with Illinois tonight on their home court, Scott. It's been an up and down year for the alumni. I think they get it done tonight.
In Champaign. All right, Morency, have a great weekend, buddy.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Off of the Combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drifts. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we got a lot going on coming up in a little bit, Donnie. Right side, and then I want to get into the NBA. The Lakers ended up covering in that game last night, Mike. That thing went down to 2.5 by the time it went off at 10 East or thereafter at the Krypton Lipstick City, and a hell of a game that went to overtime.
They did. One or two other things first before I get there. I just have to, because there's too much going on. I can't just start going into other things first.
Just can't have it.
I can't have it yet because there actually is. I need to know if you're on any of this. There's like a bunch of afternoon college basketball games. There's like a ton of games going on right now.
What?
Drake beat Southern Illinois and High Point won, but Delaware up on Stony Brook. You got Radford winning right now. And this is the game I wanted to ask you because it's going to tip in about 5 minutes. This Illinois State Belmont game, which is basically a pick'em right now. Two good teams in the Valley here in this second quarterfinal of the day in St. Louis. Hell of a game that's about to start.
Yeah, I like Belmont in that game, and I also know that in about an hour, that Hofstra game in the Coastal against North Carolina A&T, I like Hofstra in that game. I mean, North Carolina A&T is awful. Not that Hofstra is much better, but they are 7 games better than them. So I'm willing to go there with them. And then at 5, you got Mercer and West Carolina. And same thing here. I like Mercer.
So we'll keep our eye on the hoops. And, of course, we have the Arnold Palmer going on at Bay Hill with the Irish Bear in the clubhouse at 8 under with the lead. Wyndham the Butler Clark at 6 under. Also in the clubhouse right behind him. So we've got some golf that we will be keeping our eyes on, too, throughout the day. All right, let's get to, as you mentioned, the NBA. We'll start there from last night. And the Lakers beating the Knicks 113-109 in overtime. Once again, these two guys getting it done. 32, 12, and 7 for Luka. 31, 12, and 8 for LeBron. It was Luka, though, Scotty, when they got to the overtime, who took things over early on TNT.
Doncic now guarded by Karl Anthony Towns. Doncic trying to shake him. Towns staying with him. Tough shot. Oh, Luka Doncic. That's a little magic right there. Towns was right with him. Now it's Anunoby on Doncic. The switch again. Doncic over Towns. Oh, my! Oh, Luka Doncic pours in a 27-footer. And the Lakers are up 5.
You know, Mike, when he first went there, he didn't, he was cold. He didn't have a shot. And I think he was trying to find it in that building with the dimensions and everything and the sight lines. And, now he's found it. And remember, he's got the size and the meat. He's got meat on his bones. So he gets his space. And we've talked about space on this show a million times when it comes to getting shots off. You either have space or you have space and size, where you're talking about a Durant who's got the 7 foot. When he jumps, he's 10 foot in the air and he's letting it fly with the cocked hand back. There's no one in the league that can block him. I've never seen actually the guy get blocked in his entire career, really, for that matter. And then I think with Luka, he gets that step back and meet space. He can bang with you. He can hold you off him with almost like a hockey draw handle where he keeps the ball back here and he just uses his meat. No one can get around him. He's so puffy and strong and big. His size, what is he, 6'7"? I mean, the guy, he gets his space, and now he's found that shot. And forget about it. He's starting to have these 30-point games again, 32 points, 30 points, 29 points. He's in that realm now where he's found his groove, and it's only going to get worse for teams.
It certainly is. JJ Redick, let's hear from him. Of course, the Lakers were down most of the night. They needed a little fourth quarter rally to get that game to overtime. JJ Redick, very proud of him.
Once we reached their level of effort and how hard they were playing, we were right there. And we all felt that in the second half. And again, it goes back to the poise thing. You make a run, you get it to 8, they go back up to 10 or 11. You make a run, you get it to 7, it goes back up. And our guys just stayed the course and refused to give in and let go of the rope. It seemed like Brunson had an answer for everything, and he was fantastic tonight. And our guys, in what felt like a playoff game at times, really just got it out a win.
So Brunson hurt his ankle. Obviously, you'll mention that. I think that was the end of him. He left in the overtime with the ankle. This is not a surprise to any of us. We live in New York. We watch the Knicks every night, and they can hang with anyone. They can play with anyone. They can score with anyone. They got star players that can fill it up. And the one thing that they haven't figured out how to do is win games against good teams. Again, last night, they should have won, shoulda, coulda, woulda. They had the game, right? And they let it slip through their fingers. Again, this has happened not multiple times. It's happened every time. I mean, it's like every time, Mike, they play a good team, they lose. It's unbelievable to me. And that's where I'm, increasingly frustrated watching them and thinking that they can't do anything in the postseason when you can't beat good teams. Like, how many good teams do you have to lose to before you finally realize they can't beat good teams? I mean, 10, 12, 15? How many games against good teams do they have to lose? And trust me, I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. They beat Memphis when Memphis has been dying on the vine. They've been losing every game they play, and they lost Jackson. And they've been playing terrible, and they've been getting whacked. And the Knicks beat them by 1 in Memphis. Well, everybody else is beating them by way more than 1. So they're not a good team right now. I said that yesterday. Don't buy that 4th seed. They don't look good at all. And their coach is crying to the refs. I mean, the whole game, they got to, put him on a leash like a dog. He's attacking refs and running up and down the sideline. It takes the whole staff to get him back to his seat. Jenkins, he's really losing his mind.
Now, Brunson obviously left the game with this injury. We've seen him have this stuff in the last year and a half, 2 years, where we think he's got a big injury and then he's miraculously okay. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. There hasn't been any updates yet today. You'd have to think, Scotty, he's not going to play tonight against the Clippers, right? I mean, you'd have to think. Even if he isn't as bad as people want to suspect, they're playing in LA again tonight. I highly doubt they're going to roll him out there after that, him hobbling off last night in a back-to-back.
He's a great player. There's no denying how important he is to the team. But they have legitimate guards that can play for him. I mean, don't get me started on the shooters they got. Deuce can shoot. Hart can shoot. Hart can do anything on the floor. He rebounds better than any 6'5" guy I've ever seen in my life. And really, I think they can survive without him for a couple of games. And I'm not going to be surprised at all, to be honest with you, if he walks out there and plays tonight. The guy's just one of those types of players that tape it up. Let's go. We gotta beat Harden. Tape it up.
We shall see. Hopefully by the time we get out of here, maybe we'll get a little bit more clarity on if Brunson will be there. Later on, I'll give you some more stuff from last night, and then we have a bunch of games tonight in the NBA, 8 of them to be exact, among the other things that we have to do along the way.
Listen, I love it. I had the 8 games. There's so many college games you could chip a tooth.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Donnie, right side Seymour. We love him. Everyone does on Coast to Coast. And, of course, you see him on Pro Football Today and The Early Line with Ben. It's good to have you on C2C, brother. Now, my sources have told me unequivocally in Philly, in Philadelphia, they've told me on multiple occasions that they've seen you staggering around, still drinking since the Eagles won their second ring, that you have been spotted several times late at night, still celebrating and drinking right out of the bottle. Veuve Clicquot, I heard a tequila, somebody told me. I heard a Jameson, shirtless once down by Pat's. I couldn't even believe the stuff I've been hearing about you.
I mean, the credit card is absolutely maxed out from Uber rides home every night because we're so drunk with excitement. I'm still watching Mic'd Ups here from the Philadelphia Eagles, which they put out their final edition of the Super Bowl. I feel like it was yesterday, Scott. I'm still in love. I love this stuff.
So let's talk about your thoughts on them losing Sweat and Milton Williams, two guys that are going to make big money as free agents. I think it's obviously deserved what they gave Saquon. He had it coming. This is kind of a reward deal for me. And then I think they had to get Bond back in bed. And I thought that was a great signing because I thought he was just a badass for them. And in the Super Bowl, he was a pimp.
He was tremendous in the Super Bowl and all season long. And the one thing that we always know about the Philadelphia Eagles, unlike your Steelers, is the joke for me all season long is Boy Bond's going to look great as either a Pittsburgh Steeler or a Baltimore Raven in the offseason because the Eagles wouldn't pay for that. But understand this, Vic Fangio comes to town and says, you know what? This is the quarterback of my defense. I need this guy. So before letting him even test the waters in free agency to bring him back, I agree. It was a massive move. Defensive tackle Milton Williams, great season. You can't pay everybody in the NFL. So you have to pick and you have to choose at this point. And Josh Sweat, if you reminded last year, Scott, he was supposed to be one of those guys cut by the Philadelphia Eagles, actually had to come back as sort of a pay cut here, played well this year. He'll be off the free agency at a premium position, should cash in as well, but you can't pay everybody. The Eagles have drafted well, and that's what you find. Zach Bond back in the fold. Huge. The bald eagle, Scott, back in town.
What about right side? What about Carter Nolan Smith. I know that they want deals. I think they might get him.
Yeah, the notorious for the Eagles and Howie Roseman, the thing that they do well, unlike the Dallas Cowboys or let's just say the Cincinnati Bengals, is assign who your better younger players are. The faster you sign them, the earlier you sign them, the more money you will save on the back end. That's one thing Howie Roseman is very good at. Now, Jalen Carter is one of those players. Do you reward him now because he is going to absolutely break the bank, or do you wait one more season to make sure he's the real deal? Because the one thing we do know is he had some issues coming out of Georgia. Been a pretty good kid in Philadelphia, but once you give that kid $100+ million, does it change the scape of things? I don't know if he gets his deal this year, but certainly in the near future, the Eagles will probably look to extend him, and smartly and rightfully so.
So what are you thinking and saying on your football show about these guys like Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields in Pittsburgh? It goes on and on. There's all kinds of quarterbacks that are veterans that are out there. How do you think it kind of shapes up?
For me, Scott, I'm now into the adage of you're either trying to win a Super Bowl or make a deep playoff run, or you're looking to go the opposite direction. What sense does it make for a guy like Sam Darnold to show up, let's just say, and I started with Oakland, but let's be honest, other places out there, the Tennessee Titans, these teams aren't ready to win yet. And guys like Aaron Rodgers, didn't we just see a veteran quarterback that was supposed to be at a high level come into an aging locker room with a lot of veteran superstars and absolutely demolish that team over 2 years? And people are saying like, well, if the 49ers get rid of Brock Purdy, Aaron Rodgers can step right into that spot and do extremely well. I'm not big on that. I look to identify young franchise quarterbacks and live with them early on, because if they turn into gold by the time they're 24, 25 on that cheap rookie deal, that's when you make your move. Forget about these aging veterans. They're not going to help, Scott. They're just not.
So Carver High wants me to ask you, should they go after Hendrickson or Garrett in Buffalo, since they don't have any pass rushers that ever get to the quarterback in that town?
Let me tell you something about that, because Myles Garrett should be out of Cleveland. They're not going anywhere for the next 2 to 3 years. He can get you 2 first-rounders. But if there honestly is one perfect match for Myles Garrett, isn't it the Buffalo Bills? Like, that is the missing piece. Collapse the pocket. Hey, we have struggles and we have hard times beating Kansas City. Did you see what the Philadelphia Eagles did? Rush 4 players, crush the pocket, and live off of that. Myles Garrett is the perfect destination to wind up in Buffalo. So Carver's got to like that answer.
So I know you're getting into some college basketball in these conference tournaments, and there's great ball even this weekend. Like, I'm losing my mind for the Ohio State-Indiana game, because I think my Hoosiers are – well, they've always been in trouble, but they're in big trouble, mister, when it comes to Ohio State. My entire life, since I came out of my mother's womb, they've been losing to Ohio State in football and basketball and in Assembly Hall. I've seen Ohio State come in there 50 times and beat them before. I think that game Saturday is going to be crazy. What do you like tonight? Anything this weekend that stands out?
Yeah, so by the way, like early today, like on Moneyline, we go from 11 to 12, which 12 o'clock started the tip-offs right away. Hit high point first half -8.5.
They're good.
I also had an over. Yeah, over 126.5, which went down in the second game today with Drake. But right now, sweating out a game between Stony Brook and Delaware, over 147.5. That's on a good pace. But by the way, tonight, if you want a stinker out there and you want to take a team total to the over, Northern Illinois is horrible in the MAC. But I have them tonight over 64.5. They're going to drain some triples tonight, trust me. And then a better team, how about VCU tonight? At home, ready to get after it against Dayton. This team can move and turn the basketball over of your opponent. That team total over 75.5. So we're playing a little bit down tonight on this stuff, but who doesn't love this time of year? All-day basketball, man. Sign me up, Scotty.
Yeah, that VCU team in Richmond, tough to deal with. They spanked their rival Richmond in town, and they have burned 25 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, they mean business. You like that Purdue-Illinois game tonight at all in Champaign?
I actually think Purdue gets it done tonight. I think that line's a little bit too high. I'll take the points. Give me some daggers from three-point land tonight from Purdue.
And do you think my Hoosiers vomit on their bib tomorrow at home, or do they win and get into the tournament?
Look, it's your show. It's Indiana. We all cheer for Indiana on your show here. Go Hoosiers, man. Let's go. Let's get after it.
All right. Hey, congratulations on your Super Bowl victory. I always love having you on Coast to Coast. Have an awesome weekend. Right side.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Off of the Combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Another nice cover last night, Carver High, was the Nets with the 11, the uprights, the sticks against the Dubs. But the Warriors get it done because of your boy Steph just lighting it up again. Did you see his half-court shot go in?
I did see the half-court shot go in. In fact, I'm going to give it to you in a moment. The Nets had a 20-point lead at the end of the first quarter. They were up 35-15. And then the Warriors had to start chipping back. Part of that chipping back on his way to a 40-burger night was Steph Curry ending the first half like this on NBC Sports Bay Area.
And that was the goal when you were down 22. Steph from midcourt. Oh, come on! Did he ghost him on that too? Oh, my goodness, Curry!
I think your boy Fitz. Was that Fitzgerald on the call?
I believe so.
He's been doing that. He's been doing the Dubs since 94.
Long time.
Hell of a run.
He's been involved. 2-point win for the Warriors. 10-2 since the Jimmy Butler trade now, as they continue to rise up the Western Conference standings. And now they go home. Let me give you this before I get into the other nonsense. They now have a 7-game homestand after this road trip, but some pretty good teams they'll have at the Chase. Detroit, Portland, Sacramento, the Knicks, the Nuggets, the Bucks, and the Raptors. Teams playing well, at least. So, daunting homestand coming up, but a long one. They'll be home for a while.
I mean, honestly, they can actually, the way they're playing with lymphoma, Jimmy, they're 10-2. They can literally, I mean, honestly, I think they can beat Detroit at the Chase.
Yeah.
Portland, Sacramento. They beat the Knicks at the Garden. Why can't they beat them at the Chase? Denver will give them problems. I think they can actually beat Milwaukee there, and they will beat Toronto there. I think they can win 6 of the 7 games and be sitting 16-3 after the homestand since they got lymphoma. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they can absolutely win 6 of those 7 games because they're better than these teams. I know that Detroit and Portland and Sacramento and Toronto, they play well and they've been covering games. They're not as good as the Warriors. They're just not. So the Warriors
play
should be
great
at the
home.
minimum. Great home team. Now, Steve Kerr says that his coaching career ending probably coincides with Steph Curry's retirement. Well, isn't that convenient? That's one way to get out. Do you blame him? I mean, Pop should have did that when Duncan and everybody left. He should have ran out of there too. And now Kerr's he ain't gonna stick around post Steph Curry. Why would he want to do that? I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, certainly makes sense. I mean,
certainly makes
he
sense.
He complained before about his back and all the problems he's had. Think of all the rings that he has from Chicago and from San Francisco with Golden State. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, the guy, he needs a safety deposit box because someone's going to rob his house of all that bling and all that gold and all those diamonds because every other athlete gets shanked. Why wouldn't you go after him with his hardware? My God, that guy's like, he got more rings than anybody. He's like Brady. He got more than him, too.
He's got more than him, too. Now for the nonsense part of the Warriors postgame. We're probably going to have to wait to play this after as I set it up for you. So we know the situation with Kat, obviously, was that the girlfriend's family member passed away from cancer. That's why he missed the game the other night against the Warriors. He played last night against the Lakers. So I guess the great Draymond, he's got that podcast that he does. And I guess he said the other day that the reason Kat didn't play in the game was because he didn't want to go against Jimmy Butler. I think that was his line. He was scared to go up against Jimmy Butler. So obviously everybody has been pounding on Draymond for being insensitive, not knowing all the facts, et cetera, et cetera. So when we come back...
He's got a foot and a half on Butler. You're not afraid of him.
When we come back, this was brought to Draymond's attention because allegedly, according to him, he didn't know, after the game last night. And we'll let you know what his response was to looking like a moron, saying that Kat didn't want to face Jimmy Butler on Tuesday.
I don't think that Kat is the big bodega is afraid of anyone in the NBA. He's as cocky as they come. He thinks he's the best center in the league. That's a fact. And, he came to New York, and he has been as cocky as ever in the Big Apple. Believe me, he's not afraid of Jimmy Lymphoma.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. only on SportsGrid.